Welcome to That Sounds Terrific in the 585. Join hosts Nick Koziel and Christine Green as they spotlight the incredible leaders, visionaries, and innovators shaping Rochester and the 585 community. From transformative stories to big ideas, we celebrate the people making our community a better place to live, work, and thrive. So sit back, relax, and listen to what makes the 585 sound terrific.
Welcome to That Sounds Terrific in the 585 with Nick Koziel and Christine Green. And today we have the dynamic Annette Ramos. Thank you for being here. Let's dive right in. I know who you are. Nick knows who you are, but tell our listeners a little about yourself and your role and your various roles here in the 585 area.
Well, first of all, I am a not born Neo Rican into the 585. I was married into the 585's area code. I have been living in Rochester for over 25 years, and I've come to call this home. I love our great city. I consider and define it and describe it as a city of the arts, big city arts with a small town feel. I know my neighbors, I know my communities, I know the businesses which I support in my community. I came to Rochester really to get married and start a family. And my first experience in the arts here was with writers and books. I did a workshop presentation, and then Don, Flaherty just saw what I had and immediately asked me to come and present and do workshops. And really, that emerged out of bilingual storytelling for me, which I spent 25 plus years as a master storyteller in the Rochester City School Districts, the library systems, and across Monroe County schools. I loved doing that work for many years. And then I moved into my activism years of really advocating for BIPOC artists, advocating for equity and inclusion, advocating for Latina pay equity. Currently, my professional role is with the Monroe County Board of Elections, where I register voters in our county and really provide educational opportunities for civic engagement to our high schools and our universities. I love what I do, and I do what I love, which is being of service to the community that I live, work, and play in.
That's amazing. You've got a lot going on. That's so
Oh, she's so
awesome.
dynamic, Nick. You just
Yeah, I can tell. Oh man.
Yeah.
And we just like last month I'm in Leadership Rochester and we were just in the legislative building and we were talking to a whole group of different people, but Jackie Ortiz, the Democratic commissioner from Monroe County Board of Elections, was showing us the new voting machines, which I think is absolutely awesome. Over like 10 years, 15 years in the waiting. But yeah, that's so cool. Like all the different things. Where do we get started, Christine? What is the first question?
the first question. Well, the first thing, let's go. I want to go kind of
Back.
backwards,
Yeah.
starting most recently. What was it like working in your position right before this current presidential election? Was it pretty wild
Wow.
trying to get people registered? What was happening in your life in office while you were gearing up for people to vote?
So, civic engagement is a way of life. And I grew up, at the tail end of the baby boomer generation. So, subsequently, I grew up where civic engagement was just a natural part of my everyday community activism and engagement. So, gearing up for the 2024 presidential election was pretty exciting. Everyone sort of waited till the last minute.
Oh, no.
We did a huge rollout in our Monroe County libraries, in our post offices, because you have to meet people where they go. So these public buildings and facilities, the DMV, the post office, and the libraries are there for all community members. And we wanted the Board of Elections to be very visible and very accessible. That is something that Commissioner Ortiz, in her reign here at the Board of Elections, has dedicated herself to not only equity, but to also public service. The public service really means being out in the community and accessible. I did 175 public events for the Board of Elections this year.
Wow.
I did over 40 classroom sessions. I registered over 300, I think, and 58 high school students. College students were a big push, especially in the last 3 months when race, the enthusiasm on college campuses was contagious. It was very exciting. I will say large Latino Spanish speaking populations. And then, of course, the LGBTQ and trans community were very activated, with Proposition 1 being on the ballot this year in New York State. That was a really critical piece of legislation that would guarantee rights for many, many, many under-resourced and under-supported communities. So that was a great thing. I worked 31 days straight, exhausted beyond knowing. But I will say that it was great to be part of the team here at Monroe County Board of Elections. We worked in a very bipartisan way. We all were part of the same team during this election. Whether we win or lose, we're still a team, and we continue to work together for the greater good of Monroe County.
Man, I thought I was busy.
I know, right?
You put me to shame.
Busy, then you talk to Annette and you're
I'm not busy at all. And I'm not doing like here we have a podcast where we're uplifting people that are doing like great and amazing things. And I'm like, oh, I'm a positive impact in the community. Nope. Annette is a positive impact in the community.
Yeah, you do.
So, well, thank you. But I mean, so you're hitting all the spaces because like my mother is just retired actually from working in a library she was head of circulation in Long Island, Cold Spring Harbor. So like libraries are close to my heart too. Reading and all that is close to my heart. But there's like again, it's just you're doing so many amazing things. Why do you think like when you talked about the young people, college students in particular, were so much activated and so much more involved, in this round of elections?
I think there was a lot on the line, especially for young college women, 18 to 25 years old. I also believe and really experienced sort of a reactivation and excitement about the political arena and having a voice and feeling empowered. And I would even say that among high school students, the 30 somewhat classes that I attended and the assemblies, youth asked very interesting questions. Those 17 and 18-year-olds were very much wanting to understand how they can use their political power. And not only that, how they can contribute to their communities and their neighborhoods. So I think becoming engaged in civic mindedness is really about just being a good citizen in our city, in our town, and in our neighborhood. But here's my exciting part. My 6th and 7th graders during the week-long National Voter Education Week, I was in all 10 city recreational centers. My 6th and 7th graders loved learning about elections, about the process. We provided little stickers for them that said, I vote for, and they wrote things like better school lunches, safe neighborhoods, good teachers. One young boy wrote, my mom.
That's awesome.
Smart young man.
Yeah.
But when you engage young people in civic mindedness and how they count in that civic life, they feel valued, and inspired.
Sure. We
Yeah.
lost your audio just a little bit. Can you
Oh, okay.
there, it's a
My
little bit better. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's great. I
You're good
wanted
now.
to pick up on that. So I first met you, right, as a storyteller, and I've seen you tell these beautiful stories about Puerto Rico and the people around you and the beautiful Latino culture. How did your storytelling background inform what you're doing now? Because you have, and I want to talk a little bit about theater too. You have this great acting, storytelling, and theater background. How does that play into your life as someone devoted to civic duty and now really working in the Board of Elections, helping people know their rights as American voters?
Christine, that is such a great question. First of all, integrity and truth, fundamental. I must believe and I must be dedicated to the work that I do. So loving what you do and doing what you love is my mantra. If I don't love it, I'm not going to do it. As a storyteller, I had to have integrity and I had to have authenticity of voice. And the stories that I chose were really about culture and not only reaffirming my love and passion for my culture, but also educating others around my culture and breaking out of the stereotypes and the assumptions. And storytelling allows us to have teachable moments that really I'm engaging with an audience, but I'm also learning from them because their energy, their response, their feedback also feeds the storyteller. How that crossed over for me is that I'm absolutely dedicated to civic engagement and civic life. Mommy raised a girl that I couldn't wait until I was 18 years old to vote. I participated in dozens of demonstrations and rallies and community events growing up in Queens, New York, simply by being the daughter of the woman who led those demonstrations, those rallies, and those community activisms. My mother was an activist, and she did it out of a necessity. I do it because it's still needed, and it is fundamentally one of the gifts that I've been given to share with our community and to also uplift and empower others doing the work that I love.
Ooh, I love that.
Mm.
I love hearing about your mom. Yeah, because I know she really influenced you. I mean, women rule the world, as they say. No offense, Nick, but you know.
No, I do know
He has a
that.
mother.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
got a mother, you have a mother to children, you get it.
So, really, telling the story of civic engagement is just really utilizing my skill set as a theater artist, as a storyteller, but really infusing the narrative of good citizenship in our county, um, which I've always believed in anyway. I live in the city, I participate in multiple events in the city. My areas of concern are always Latina pay equity, which Christine knows about. It takes a Latina up to 10 months to make the same amount of money that my white non-Latino counterpart makes. So that is still an ongoing advocacy and fight for Latina pay equity. Also, BIPOC artists in our community, ensuring that they are funded and vested in and embraced by our community, also seen as a valued asset. Rochester just got on the list of the top 15 cities in the nation in the
Awesome.
arts.
For
I'm
art
aiming,
and culture.
Yeah.
I'm aiming for
So
the
cool.
top 5.
Number one. Let's go
So
number
We
one.
deserve it. We
I
deserve
like
it.
you, Nick. Mayor Evans said the same thing. Why can't we be number
Just
one?
number one.
Okay,
Let's do
I
it, right?
agree.
Exactly.
Um, you got to set those goals really high, right? Surprise yourself where you can actually get. I do have a question that might be a little bit a stumper for you, but let's see. If you could play like, theater, any role, like who would you want to
Mm.
play?
Well, I'm not a musical theater person. I cannot sing to save my life, but I can certainly dance around anybody. I would say probably an older character. I've been waiting to be old enough to play a 99-year-old. For some reason, not a particular production comes to mind, but the characterization of being old and feisty and wise and sassy totally appeals to me. Oh, wait, that is me, right? Yeah.
That's awesome. So you're gonna play
Um,
yourself.
I am. But I think when I look at the performances of elder Latinas, there are so few and far between.
Mhm.
So with yesterday being what's her name's birthday, our egret winner, West Side Story. I can't remember
Oh
her
my
name.
gosh, Rita Moreno, was her
Thank
birthday
you.
yesterday? Yeah.
I can't believe it. It was Rita Monero's birthday yesterday, and she has played so many different parts. So,
Oh,
and
wow.
I think also playing a comedic Latina elder would appeal to me very much because we are so funny with ourselves and the things we say. So I think creating that character, um, and I envision her. She'll be on television. She'll be there. Yeah. I
Awesome.
know I
I love
didn't
that.
say one, but
That's
you
okay.
stumped me there a little, Nick.
Well,
It sounds like you're gonna write that role.
yeah. I feel like, you know what I
People keep
got?
asking me
Well,
to do that.
I got two different things from that. Well, first of all, my daughter is a big fan of Mamma Mia. So when you said I'm not a musical kind of person, but I thought of that woman who was like the feisty woman that like, take a chance
Yes,
on me, take a
I could
chance
do
on
that.
me.
I
Yeah.
could do
Yeah.
that.
So, but that's one thing I thought of. But then I also thought, I'm like, you almost sound like you're writing the biography of yourself,
Hmm.
but your future self. So the person you're performing is the 99-year-old you, and all the things that you like, all the stories you told, all the things you tried to, accomplish and had a, impact on in your life. And it just that's a kind of a cool way to look at that role.
Oh, Nick, you have just ignited my creative juices. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Yeah. That's what we're here
I
for.
have to write it now. Yay.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, we'll be in the front row.
Yep.
Yes, you will.
Yes.
Um, are you
Awesome.
are you still um in partnership in working with the Rochester Latino Theater League?
Yes. Well, the
Can,
Rochester Latino Theater Company, we
sorry.
are still, no, that's quite all right. We're constantly confused that way. We are 12 years young, a mom and baby operation. This past year, we were very successful in our grant writing applications. We have literally rolled out emerging artists, two opera singers this year. We have the fine, talented visual artists. So, Latino Theater Company, although our foundation is theater, we promote and uplift emerging artists in our community. That is absolutely fundamental to who we are as an art organization. We just finished a professional development program at the Eugenio de Hostos Charter School for our high school students. We rolled out a wonderful storytelling program through the city school district. We're doing art programming and storytelling in the recreational centers as well. So we are still small, but mighty and strong and going. Our work is all about laying a foundation and a path for emerging Latinx artists. And I feel that we have accomplished that very well and will continue to do that. We have some exciting programs and projects for 2025 that we're working on. So, we're there and we continue to do the work that's really necessary and also joyful in bringing and educating and advancing our community.
Yay. I love it. You're so fun to talk to.
So are
You
you.
really are. You always have such wonderful things going on in your life and in the community. It really is. It's so great.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
love how you answer all the questions too. It's so like official, but yet so engaging. You know,
It's
so
the
that's awesome.
storyteller.
Yeah.
Storyteller, yeah. Well, Nick's a storyteller with some theater background himself, so he knows.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, COVID and all that other stuff, prompted the start of the show, and then I've been doing some improv things at Comedy at the Carlson. Um, and I work with this band called the Dogs for a Cause band.
Oh,
They raise money for fundraising for nonprofits and organizations in the Rochester area. So like I'm pretty involved and gotten more involved in my creativity again. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's
Thank you.
amazing. It's amazing.
But but not enough about me. We want to know more about you. So what's the storyline right now? Like what stories are you trying to share with the community in the world? Like,
you're great, Nick. You
oh,
lead
thanks.
right into it. So the presidential election is done. We are moving into a new election cycle. There's always an election every year.
Mhm.
So I'll first talk about work. One of the areas that I'm looking at is advancing civic education in middle school. I'm currently writing curriculum around that, capturing young people early on. And I talk about civic engagement as a three-legged stool. I ask them, have they ever volunteered in their school or their churches? Oh, you're a volunteer. But have you ever donated $1 to a church or a fundraiser or a community event? Oh, you're a philanthropist. Ooh. Now comes the voting leg. And that way you're a full-fledged activated citizen in our county. And young people want direction. They want to hear that they matter and that they're the future generation. So I'm really excited about getting back into the classroom with my middle school kids and working with them. I also looking at community service projects. I have quite a few of those out right now in development. We're working on an opera with Spanish storytelling in it. So we're very excited about that collaboration coming up in 2025. And then Latino Theater Company is always gearing up for Hispanic Heritage Month, but there are 10 months before that. So we want to embrace opportunities to be out in the community, to be engaged in the community, and to be places that normally Latinos may not participate in or be activated in. And then we're looking at ways to really further the workforce development and uplifting Latino women and pay equity. So we're working on a few projects with that. And then I always have all the wonderful creative projects that come to me through social media or a phone call, or we always do some sort of an art exhibit every year. So we're working on a couple of pieces for that. I have a young Puerto Rican artist that just moved to Rochester. So I'm mentoring him through the process of learning how to write grants and apply for funding. So that mentorship piece in my life is really taken on a much more engaging role around how do I support, uplift, and help the next generation of emerging Latinx artists in our community. And then on my off time, I have a little bunny that I absolutely love and adore, and I spend as much time as possible.
What's your
Awesome.
bunny's name?
You're gonna laugh. Okay.
What's that? Say that again.
Okay.
Cafe.
Teeth.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my goodness.
Nick, do you guys have rabbits?
Yeah, I have one rabbit. We have
What?
every animal known to man, but we have like a little hobby farm. We have a pig. But rabbit is something very simplistic. So
Very exotic
yeah,
animal.
yeah.
Um,
So
so
um,
yeah, so life just continues on. The work continues on. Um, and for me, it's all about the adventure of what's next. How do I move forward?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, with all the storytelling, there's obviously, other narratives that are going on, counter narratives, but also like misinformation in regards to like, assumptions and like how do you kind of educate people on what it really means to be, Latina and like where the culture is and what are the stereotypes you're trying to like kind of fight against? How do you do that?
Great question.
Great, great question, Nick. The very first production that Latino Theater Company produced, um, actually addressed many of those assumptions and stereotypes. And it was a series of monologues. I did one among 8, 9 other actors that did their monologues. And one of my favorite responses, it was at Muck Theater. This woman raised her hand afterwards. She goes, "I'm an Italian family. You just did my family." And then somebody said, "I'm Jewish. You just did my family." The point is, we are more alike than
Different. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and so for me, um, telling the stories, and I do, Christine's right, I do choose stories from my indigenous culture. I tell stories about the animals that personify characters of human behaviors that are not so good or really good. So it's easy to hear a storyteller tell a story and go, "Ooh, I might be that rabbit." Or, "Oh, did I do that behavior that that fox did? I think I did." So it's easy for an audience to see that and then reflect on what could I have done? How could I have changed that? How can I improve my reaction and not jump to assumptions and conclusions? And I think that's the plight of every Latina in our community, Christine. We know this. We're always um, challenged by the assumptions and stereotypes.
Yeah.
So overcoming them is simply by being the best version of myself that I can be in my community.
Awesome. Awesome.
Wonderful. I mean, and I can just say, Annette is a role model in not just the Latinx community and among Latinas, but in the whole community. Like, I have yet to meet someone in the arts world in Rochester who hasn't been touched by you in some way. Oh, I saw her give storytelling. I saw she did storytelling at my school. Or yes, she taught a class at Writers and Books. Or, oh yeah, I saw her at the international market. You know, so Annette has feelers out everywhere, but it's really, really interesting because you are a community connector. You're really a connection between groups of people, between individuals. And what I always love, and maybe you can speak a little bit more about this, is how, and you did a little when you talked about going to schools, is how it all goes back to our children.
Oh, I just love that you just made full circle. One of my favorite experiences, about a year ago, I was at Wegmans and this handsome young African American boy comes up to me, boy man, goes, "Hi, Mrs. Ramos. I remember you from kindergarten." He's looking down at me and I'm looking up at him and I'm like, "Yay." He goes, "The Cokie story still sticks with
Okay, yes, that's one of your signatures.
So, telling the story of overcoming challenges, obstacles against the odds resonates with every young person. Every human wants to overcome a challenge or an obstacle. And the story of the Coqui Frog is a living example of perseverance, dedication, teamwork, collaboration, community effort, the very essence of who I am and the work that I do. I guess I'm a little Coqui Frog in our neighborhood.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, yeah.
So,
Truly, it rings to that piece around my grandmother told me, and I felt the responsibility of carrying it forward. And young people today very much want, well, this is why we have podcasts. This is why we have social media platforms, influencers. Storytelling is an art form that has been revitalized in the contemporary internet way, right?
Mhm.
So for me, it was that fundamental of listening to my abuela tell me the stories on the fire escape in the Bronx about how things used to be long ago.
Wow.
yeah. And it's interesting because like our culture does go in these waves or these circles, right? So when you think about how history has changed how we communicate over time, I feel like we're coming back more to like the spoken word stories, whereas you're able to share that more often. Like even with technology, when you look at what direction we're going, like right now, there's a lot of keyboard writing, okay, and you're typing up papers and all that stuff. But most of the interfaces that we're going to see in the future, we're going to have no keyboards. We talk about cursive and things being in dying art, but the spoken word is coming back because like everything that you're going to interact with on a computer is going to be voice optimated, activated. So, and that's going to lead to, I think, a little bit more oratory storytelling. Um, Before I get too far into the weeds, like I've already kind of started digging,
Yeah.
um, would you have time to tell that story? Is that a, would you be able to
I
do
will give
that?
you the mini synopsis.
That would be awesome because I am not familiar.
So long, long ago, before humans walked upon the land, creatures great and small lived a carefree and easy life. But as a result of this carefree and easy life, many of them became fat and lazy. Queen Ignacia, a Puerto Rican parrot, flew high out of the canopy of a yunque. She saw her tribe and was not happy. Ay, Dios mío, you have let yourselves go to waste. This is not good for society to thrive. Tomorrow we shall have a great race. And with that, the queen challenged all the creatures to choose among their own kind who would represent them in the great race. And with that, the queen spread her beautiful green emerald wings and flew back into the canopy. Now, quickly, the animals began to choose amongst themselves as to who would represent them. The iguana, being the biggest and largest creature, said, this is easy. I will take 2 leaps and win this race. Hey, Drew, get me some food. Hey, Drew, get me some food. And he ate and ate and went to sleep. He did not prepare. Next was a Puerto Rican boa constrictor. I will win the race for our kind, for I know all the tunnels and will sneak down and win the race so easily. Hey, you, get me some food. And that boa constrictor swallowed her food whole. And there she stood all afternoon, digesting, not preparing for the great race. Next was the hummingbird. Which way do I go? You see, the hummingbird had the heart and his fluttering wings, but they did not listen to the that the queen gave, and therefore did not know how to prepare for the great race. Next was the spider's great cousin spider came down and said, I am the best web weaver in the neighborhood. I will win that race. Check it out. Little cousin spider, who was very, very, very poisonous, came down and said, what you talking about, bro? I am. No, I am. And they began to fight amongst each other, not preparing for the great race. You see, it takes a spider 24 hours to make their silken web. And here they were wasting all of their resources fighting against it. Next was the beautiful monarch butterfly, La Mariposa. Ay, qué bonita yo soy. Why, the butterfly was indeed quite exquisite and beautiful. Why, if beauty were the sure winning ingredient, I would be the winner already. I will win the great race. Now, the smallest creature of all, the tiny brown spot frog, who had no voice at all, but they all gathered upon a leaf, and they chose Pepito. Pepito was not only the biggest and strongest of all the coqui frogs, he was smart. But wait, they did not rest on their laurels. All the coquilles worked together. They gave him healthy food to eat. They exercised his body, and they filled his mind with positive thoughts, his heart with love, and his spirit with determination. And so the great race came. The queen came down, and all the creatures, great and small, gathered. And sure, true to what the iguana said, he was winning, but then he stopped. This is so easy. Get me some food. And he ate and ate and went. You see, one by one, each creature had forgotten what their purpose was. But now, where was the coquille? Oh, Oh, there, high above El Yunque in the tropical rainforest of Puerto Rico, that coqui frog leaped and bounded with determination. He touched the old palm tree. He made it back to the queen. He had won the race. And with that, the queen raised her majestic wings and gave the gift to Coqui frog. Coqui, Coqui, Coqui. You see, that day the Coqui frog got its voice. And every night as the sun sets on La Isla Encantada de Puerto Rico, the coquis sing their song loudly, reminding us all that determination will overcome any obstacle or challenge. And that is the story of the coqui frog.
That's awesome.
It's so fun. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
I love all the characterizations, and I exaggerate them all and have fun with all of them. Really, it's a study in character, right? It's a study in teamwork. It's a study and an observation. If you don't prepare, you won't know. If you don't listen, you won't know. If you're not doing what needs to happen, then it doesn't get done.
Right. That was beautiful. That was awesome.
Wonderful.
This could be, if we didn't have another interview after this, it'd be like a 3-hour podcast.
I know, exactly, right? And I'm like, why? Yeah, I'm the one who's scheduled to today.
Well, you may have done that on purpose to keep us on track.
Yes, I mean, we do need to get these in the can and get them going, but amazing.
But these are the type of guests, you're a type of guest we're going to welcome back for sure.
Yes. And I want to come and see you do some stand-up and some storytelling too.
Well, I definitely don't do stand-up, but improv, I'll let you know the next time we do it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And that sounds terrific in the 585 area code.
Yeah. She is on the team, Nick.
Yeah.
Well, have a wonderful holiday, everyone. And thank you so much. What a joy to be here with you both and really learn about this wonderful opportunity and to share it with my community and my friends as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So much.
So that's a great reminder. All of our listeners, be sure to check the show notes so you can, connect with Annette and follow us on social media. And we will be back next time. So thanks again for being on the show, Annette.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of That Sounds Terrific in the 585. Check out our website, www.thatsoundsterrific.com, to see a full list of episodes and learn more about our hosts, Nick Koziel and Christine Green. Be sure to find us on your favorite social media platforms or podcast listening service by searching That Sounds Terrific, and feel free to give us a 5-star rating if you enjoy our show. Until next time.